기자부대! Hamon the beat!
Welcome back to another JoJo chapter review. This time we're taking a look at Chapter 7 of the JOJOLands titled Jungle Warfare Part 2. This month's chapter comes along with the release of the part's first volume. With this we could get a better idea of how the volume releases are going to be handled. There's actually been numerous little changes made to the previous chapters I'd like to go over, and the cover features a redrawn version of the now iconic Ultra Jump cover JoJo illustration from back with the release of the first chapter. At first I wasn't sure how to feel about using essentially the same picture, but I do think it makes for a great cover, and the redone version is very detailed. Of course, like all the volumes, the chapters are also renamed. Chapter 1, Mechanism, became Departure. The Japanese man on Hawaii Island became South King Street, which is the location featured at the beginning of the chapter. While Chapter 3, Find the Diamond in the Mansion, and Chapter 4, Versus Kishibe Rohan, are changed to The Villa on Hawaii Island Parts 1 and 2. Overall, I like the second titles, but I do think Mechanism was the perfect name to represent the first chapter of this part. In the volume, we also see some minor changes. The food that Dragona likes to eat is now papaya instead of watermelon. JoJo no longer says that having antisocial personality disorder makes him a psychopath, and the spelling of the names of stands has been tweaked. For this chapter, we have a new color illustration featured on the cover of Ultra Jump, and for the first time we have a color scheme for our other three main characters. As I've mentioned before, in months when there's no colored illustration to use for the thumbnail, I commissioned some from my colorist Lou, and she might be some kind of time traveler or something since the color schemes match up almost perfectly. Speaking of that, they're currently in the process of moving and are offering a discount on colorings, so please check it out if you're interested. The most interesting thing about this cover though has to be this little tagline, a money-making story starting in Hawaii. This seems to imply that the characters are going to leave Hawaii at some point. I would think that with the title of the JOJOLands, we're going to see multiple types of locations, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes from this. For our chapter cover this time, we have JoJo inside of this 9-point star, most likely representing the 9 parts. We pick up from where we left off, with JoJo suspended from the tree during the battle with the 3 cats. Dragona tells JoJo to try and break the branch, but it's out of range. The cats seem to have some incredible intelligence, and JoJo notes that they somehow took the distance to the branch into account when launching their attack. This could mean that the cats are smart, but may also be an indication of an owner remotely controlling these cats from somewhere. Paco uses his stand to manipulate his muscles and climb up the tree using his back to try and cut the wire. The cats appear and we see the strings emerging from their tails. Paco asks if these things are even cats, or animals at all. Of course, I can't help but connect this to the rock animals that appeared in Part 8. It's a possibility that these cats are rock animals as well, similar to Iwasuke the rock dog. Paco and Dragona start being strangled by the string, and JoJo is able to swing himself to launch a horizontal attack with November Rain, knocking one of the cats down. The other two start freaking out and tie everyone up with a net. I think this page of the 2 cats is awesome, and it almost reminds me of something out of an old Araki manga like Bao. After this, everyone is saved when Usagi returns by crashing the car into the tree. He tells Dragona to ask his stand to turn into a net. Just to remind you, Usagi's stand, the Mate Kudasai, can only turn into objects when someone other than him asks for it. Usagi says he went to the car to grab the bag of hamburgers he bought earlier. He says that he broke up the patties and fed them to the cats, and stuck expensive caviar that he had stolen from Rohan's house into the meat. He holds up the lava rock which the cats are drawn to. If you remember, the mechanism of the lava rock causes wealth to be returned to it. So the expensive caviar causes the cats to come towards him. The cats jump at him, but he tosses the lava rock behind them, which makes them immediately pivot midair and hit the floor, where they're trapped by the net Dragona asks for. At the end of the chapter, JoJo wonders to himself about what Rohan said about not trusting his friends, and that something was watching Rohan before they got to his villa. This was a great chapter. Last month we got one that was shorter and mostly setting things up, so of course it getting paid off with this chapter is really exciting. Again, I'm really liking the kind of tactics these new stands can pull off, with this fight taking place almost exclusively suspended in the air, and with attacks coming from strange angles you wouldn't expect. The big moment with Usagi was definitely the highlight for me. It's sort of a classic JoJo moment of ending a fight with an insane strategy. And like I've said before, I think he's my favorite character so far. Now that they've presumably escaped the cats, I wonder where we could go next. The cats seemingly have an owner trying to secure the diamond for themselves, and we might end up learning who that is very soon. Most of all, I'm looking forward to where they might go next, with the new implication that they might leave Hawaii at some point. It goes without saying that I'm very excited for next month's chapter. In some other JoJo news, we just saw the confirmation of Abakio as the first character in the Season 2 pass of All-Star Battle R. I got this right in my prediction video, but I think this is probably the easiest one to see coming in the bunch. So far they've just shown a little teaser, but from what I can gather from the screenshots shown, he'll be able to use Moody Blues to replay himself, similar to his portrayal in the Part 5 PS2 game. What I'm wondering though is if he can replay the opponent, since that could be really interesting. Since Abakio isn't much of a fighter, I wondered what his super might be, but I think they actually went with the perfect choice here, and it seems to be based on the kicking scene from the original story. Once the full character trailer drops in a couple weeks, I may end up talking about it in a standalone video. To keep up with future videos and reviews, I hope that you'll subscribe and click the bell. If you want to be updated on new videos and chapter releases, you can join the Hamon Beat Discord using the link in the description. I'd also appreciate if you support the channel on Patreon. There you can get some exclusive rewards like Discord perks and the opportunity to submit questions. I usually answer questions at the end of my main videos, so if you'd like to submit one, you can become a patron at any tier and ask via my page's Member Posts tab. Thank you for watching. This is the part of the video where I thank my $5 and up patrons. Thank you to Alex Ramirez, Doorbell, Crayon, Rigovids, Zucato, Pumpkin Doge, Marrow, Almighty Quarth, Cowrie, Gatlin Grove, Lime Jinjo, 17 Hit Combo, Sponge Cake, Cakext, Feliciana Robaja, Rihanna Meme, Christian McDonough, Navi, Emmanuel Etienne, Pulse Dog, Great Riek, D, Dr. Zombie, Carmo Trina, and Hunter Gill.